We are here at the Gaia Residences, where I'm going to interview immigration attorney Larissa Salvador, who's going to explain to us how the EB-5 immigrant investor program works for visas on real estate investments, which I mean is a topic that I speak about on this channel. So stay tuned, that very good information is coming. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most strategic and secure ways to obtain a U.S. green card through real estate investment. Many people don't realize that there is an official government program called the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Program, which allows foreign investors and their families to obtain permanent residency in the United States through investments, often a real estate development project. To explain how the program works and clarify the most common questions investors have, I'm joined today by immigration attorney Larissa Salvador, who specializes in helping international investors navigate this process, and she is licensed in Florida and Washington, D.C. Attorney Larissa, thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure.
I know that you are in a
She's
she's so I mean we don't have a lot of time. It could happen anytime.
All puns intended.
But thank you so much for being here with us.
Absolutely.
Can you please introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about you and about your work?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm an immigration attorney. I'm originally from Brazil. I've lived in the US for over 24 years. So all my schooling, everything I've done, it's been here in the US. And for a little bit over 10 years now, I have worked in the field of immigration with EB-5s and also other types of immigration processes here in the US. My office currently is located in Boca Raton, Florida, and a lot of our clients are not just Brazilians, but also anyone from anywhere in the world, since immigration is federal law. So we are always ready to help anyone that has an interest on knowing not just about EB-5, but any of the other kinds of visas available.
Thank you. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna ask you a few questions pertinent to this, because I know again that it's a very it's a topic of great interest among foreign investors.
Absolutely.
Okay, Attorney Larissa. First question. To start from the beginning, what exactly is the EB-5 visa, and how allows a foreign investor to obtain a U.S. green card?
So the great thing about EB-5s and why it's a great strategic move for investors here in the US is because it does not require you to have extraordinary abilities. It doesn't require you to have special abilities, and it does not require for you to have a sponsor in the US. If you have the cash, it allows you to invest in a program already approved by the US government so that you can get your green card.
Now, what is the current minimum investment required for the EB-5 program, and what types of projects typically qualify for this investment?
So there are two investor numbers, let's say. The minimum is 850,000, which will depend on the project, especially in rural areas or areas that they consider need revitalizing, right? They need more life. So urban areas, 850,000. Now there are different zones and different projects that not the minimum, but the maximum is 1,050,000. Don't ask me why it's 50, but it is. And that's the value for that specific project. Now, these kinds of projects are not just property, as in, developers building residential properties. but also there are some projects, even government related, that also fall under the EB-5 investor program.
Many investors are interested in real estate developments. How does real estate investment work within the EB-5 program?
So it is very important for us to differentiate between buying a property and actually investing in an EB-5 program. They are not the same thing. So, for example, if you have developer A that's building anything in Miami nowadays, and they have the EB-5 program available at project, let's call it X, right? You don't have to buy the property to be able to invest on the EB-5 project, okay? But if you invest in the EB-5, you are free to also buy the property. I know a lot of projects that if you do have an EB-5, the way to pay for the property is also facilitated because of the EB-5 investment. But know this, if you're doing the EB-5, the whole money has to be paid upfront. Okay, there's no way of doing installments, which is different than if you are purchasing a property under an EB-5 program, because that property you may be able to pay it installments, 10%, 20, 30, top off. Usually each project has a different set of guidelines for that.
Once an investor applies, how long does it typically take for the investor and their family to receive a green card?
So that will depend on where you are applying. If you are doing a green card petition through EB-5 inside of the US right now, it's taking roughly between 3 years and 3.5 years for you to finally receive your green card. Don't worry, you're not going to be here illegally during this time. They do issue a work permit and a travel permit so that you're not stuck in the country and also without means to work if necessary. Now, if you're doing a consular processing for your case, which means you're back in your home country, it will totally depend on the country that you live. Because one of the examples that I was giving shortly before this is that Brazil right now is on a frozen list. So if you apply for your EB-5 and everything gets approved and you go to your interview at the consulate, even if it is approved, which it should be, they will not issue the actual immigrant visa right now until things go back to normal, which, let's be honest, I can't give you that information because, like I tell my clients, my crystal ball stopped working 365 days ago. So we're just going to have to wait to see how much more time that's going to add into the process.
A common question that investors ask: during the process, do they need to be living in the United States, or they can be back to their home country to wait for it?
So, like we mentioned in the question before, you don't have to be in the US to get your green card or wait for the whole process. You can definitely do it through consular processing, but like I said, the time frame until you get to the end of the project or the end of the application will depend on what country you're living right now.
Now, attorney, a very important question. Who in the investor's family can be included in the process? Do their like a spouse and children also receive green cards?
So, one of the great things about AB5 is that your immediate relatives, which are spouse and children, do come under the program as long as the children are not 21 and over. So, if one of your kids has already turned 21, they have aged out to be included in the process. Now, if you want to bring your mom, your mother in law, your brother, they do not count as immediate relatives. Therefore, they do not partake in the benefits of the AB5 application.
Are there any countries that do not qualify for the EB-5 visa, or is open for any country in the world?
So, not every country would qualify. Right now, I don't have from the top of my head which ones don't. Today is the 11th of March of 2026. So, as of right now, for sure, people that originate from Iran would not be able to apply for an EB-5 unless they have a second nationality that they could apply under. That's the first country that comes to the top of my head just because of what's happening right now in this instant. So, if you ask me again next year, most likely we will have more updated answer.
So you said that supposedly someone is from Iran, which is a conflict country right now. If they have another citizenship, let's say British, would they be able to apply under their British citizenship even though they were born in Iran?
So that is a strategy used for example, people that are from Brazil right now. If they have a different nationality, the strategy is to apply under the different nationality so that they're not frozen out from actually getting the green card. So theoretically, right now, March 11th, 2026, that will be the same strategy that we would use for an Iranian born British citizen.
During the investment period, who holds the funds? And how does the government ensure that the project meets EB-5 requirements and including job creation?
So when the project first presents itself for the regional center, which is usually the person licensed right under the government for these projects, all this information of potential gets vetoed, right? And that's how it gets determined whether or not it's a 50 or if it's a million 50 kind of investment. Now, after you apply, you need to, each application has all the documentation, both from the project and an investor. So that's usually how they will review whether or not your individual application has met the requirement. So they don't do a clean sweep of everyone under one project. They literally look at case by case regarding the documentation that you're presenting to make sure that it's matching up with their requirements.
Based on your experience, what are the most common mistakes foreign investors make when applying for the EB-5 program?
Two huge mistakes that will literally not only cost your investment, but also your family's future is you not hiring an attorney before signing the documentation for the EB-5. Why? You need to get that vetoed. You need to have someone look at the project to make sure that the viability of that is real. Because I've seen many clients literally start with a project that they didn't really know the details, and then it all goes downhill, and now they don't have the green card, even if they do have their money back. So that is number one. And number two, also making sure that you go over with that attorney over all of the financial documentation. Because if anything is missing, once again, that's how you jeopardize the approval of your green card.
For someone thinking about their family's future in the United States, what is the biggest advantage of the EB-5 program compared to other types of visas?
Personally, and other people can have other opinions or views about it, to me is the fact that you don't need anybody else. If you have the cash and you have the project, you can go ahead and apply. While a lot of other visa types for you to come to the US depend on sponsors, depend on extraordinary abilities, special abilities, endless different requirements that make it more difficult for people to actually be able to get it. With the AB5 is have the cash has to be clean, project is good to go, and you apply, there's your green card.
Now, a very, very important question. Yes, exactly. What is usually the cost? I'm talking about attorney's costs in order to process this visa for an investor.
So typically attorney's fees, the normal, at least here in South Florida, is between 30,000 to 40,000. Okay, and that's just attorney's fees. And people are like, "Oh, but that is so much." It is so much work. That is why it's so much money. And once again, Usually investors don't really complain because if you have 850,000 or a million to invest in AB5, you're not really crying about 30K or 40K.
And let's suppose they apply, they have their money in, and for some reason they don't get the green card. Do they get their money back, a refund on what they spent? How does that work?
So, in general, and I think this is good for other cultures to know as far as how the US works, when we're talking about the investment, the money for the investment, yes, you get that back. As far as immigration fees and attorney's fees, the work has been done. You do not get your money back unless, of course, that you can show that it was clearly a mistake on the part of the attorney. Then, of course, you can make a bar complaint and get your money back.
Now, if someone watching this interview wants to find out whether they qualify for the EB-5 the immigrant investor program, what would be the first step, the first thing that they should do?
The first thing that you should do is speak to an attorney. Okay. And this is not going to be a self serving comment, although some people may think so. But this is literally something that we see happening all the time. A lot of people go to immigration consulting firms that don't actually have attorneys. You don't ever sit with an attorney, but they tell you that you qualify and they get your money, they apply it, and then you get denied. So, my honest opinion, and from all my experience in the US, and from being someone that did hire someone that didn't do their job, and because of that, we ended up being undocumented for over 10 years in the US, please, for the love of God, do speak to a professional attorney about this. I'm not saying that all attorneys are great because that's character, okay? But you should definitely do your due diligence because I shouldn't care more about your future than you do. So you definitely should speak to an attorney. And before you pick the attorney, definitely review Google, review their social media, review what other people are saying about that firm. Because at the end of the day, it's your future, it's your family's future, and it's your money. So you want to make sure that the first step is to find someone if you don't like me. But it's usually hard not to like me.
Well, I want to thank you so very much for answering our questions because I know this is a very important matter for investors who wants to think about having a life here in the United States. And I'm going to include Attorney Larissa's information in the description box below. If you have any further questions, you can direct the questions directly to her or to us. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.